Everyone, welcome back to the channel SoFlyStyles. My name is Sophia Abdulsalam. Yeah, I know it has been quiet on the channel a lot lately, but I promise you today's tutorial is going to worth the wait. And today we are going to be drafting a Princess Darr Bustier blouse like the one you are seeing on screen right now. And it is not just any bustier blouse. It comes with a beautiful both neckline in the front and a low back neckline. So I am going to be showing you everything. So in today's video we are going to be drafting our basic bodies. Okay, I'll show you how to do your underbust tightening, and I'm going to be showing you the proper way of doing your shoulder tightening. Okay, and I'm going to be showing you how to contour your neckline to eliminate gaping. You can see the front of the blouse is relaxed, around the chest area, and the back too, there is no gaping here. Even though I did a low back, there is no gaping. So I'm going to be showing you everything you need to do to achieve this clean look. So today's tutorial is really packed and detailed, so you want to make sure you stay with me till the end. And I have ensured that I made the video easy to follow, so even if you are a beginner, you are going to understand everything I'm doing. Alright, so if you are yet to subscribe to the channel, make sure you subscribe now and turn on your notification so you don't miss out when I drop new tutorial. So as you can see, the blouse has a peplum attached to it, so I've decided that I'm going to separate the peplum tutorial in another video. So I'm going to be uploading that peplum tutorial maybe later on in the week. But as for today, we are drafting the upper part of this blouse, which is the Princess Darr. So without wasting much of our time, go grab your measurement, your pattern paper, and every other things you need to draft your pattern. Okay, I cannot wait to share with you what I have. Okay, so to start with, I'm gonna head to mark out some lines here, as you can see. So I'm gonna head to divide my pattern paper into two equal parts. This is because I want us to draft the front and the back piece together. You can do yours separately, but I like it so that you'll be seeing it as I am doing it. That's why I like to do mine together. So from the top here, I rule out my margin line, and this line is going to be my shoulder line as well. So from this shoulder line, I came down by my bust divided by 6 plus extra 3 inches to get my bust line, and I take this measurement across the front and the back part. Then from this shoulder line, I came down by my front back waist length measurement. My back waist length measurement is 16 for this tutorial. Usually I do 16.5, but I decided to reduce it by half of an inch. Then from this waistline, I came down by 8.5 to get my hip line. Sometimes I do 8.75, but for this tutorial I'm doing 8.5. The next is my shoulder width. My shoulder is 15. Then I added half inch to that to make it 15.5. Then I went ahead to divide it by 2. Then I mark it on the shoulder line and on the bust line. Then I connected it with a straight line that you are seeing here. So the next thing is our shoulder slope. To get our shoulder slope, we will need to do our neck width. Mine is 3 inches. If you're on the plus size, do 3.25. Then on this my armhole line here, I came down by 1.5 inches. Okay, then I'm going to take my straight ruler to connect from my neck width of 3 inches into this 1.5 inch mark with a straight line. Okay, that is what you are seeing here for the shoulder slope. So to do my armhole curve, I got the midpoint of this point to this point here. I found the midpoint, then I mark it out like this, then take my French curve to connect it neatly. So now for the front, the same thing. I have my shoulder line and I have my bust line. So I told you my bust line, I did bust divided by 6 plus extra 3 inches. The 3 inches is because I want to slope my shoulder with 1.5. So if you want to slope your own shoulder with 1 inch, all you have to do is divide your bust by 6, then add extra 2.5 inches. Okay, so the next line I have here is my shoulder to nipple point measurement, which is 10.5. Then my shoulder to under bust measurement, which is 40 inches. Then my shoulder to waist measurement for the front, which is 18 inches. Okay, the back measurement is waist measurement is 16, while that of the front is 18 inches. Then from the front here, I came down by 8.5 inches to get my hip line. So I label this line bust line, nipple line, under bust line, waistline, and my hip line. So now let's go back to let's go back to our shoulder slope again. My neck width is 3 inches. If you're on the plus size, do 3.5. okay. On the shoulder line, I came in by 3 inches. Then on my armhole line like this, I hope you still remember I got my armhole line, my shoulder width plus half of an inch, then divided by 2 gave me my shoulder width measurement. I mark it on the bust, on the shoulder line and on the bust line, connect it to the straight line. To do my armhole curve, shoulder slope, I came down by 1.5 inch to do my shoulder slope, and then the remaining part of my armhole line, I got the midpoint of it. Then from the midpoint, I came in by half of an inch to draw my armhole curve. I hope you understand everything I've been saying. If you don't understand, I'm going to put the link to the detailed tutorial on how to draft your basic bodice in the description box. So now, let's go back to the back. For the back, I have eliminated my zip bulge, okay. So eliminate my zip bulge, I usually do 1 inch. You can do as low as half of an inch, you can do 1.25 at most, okay. But for me, I do 1 inch to do my zip bulge, and I connected it into the hip and into my neck points at the back. So the next thing we want to do now is to impute our bust measurement, okay. So, and I'm going to be imputing my bust measurement from the zip bulge line. I can decide to do it from the margin line on the side there, but if I do it, I'll still need to replace this extra that is going on there. So I just decided to mark it from the zip bulge line forward, okay. So my bust is 36. 36 divided by 4 gave me 9. So we need to draft this pattern with ease allowance. So for the back, the ease allowance you are going to be adding to the bust area is just half of an inch, okay. This is constant, okay. So now we need to move to the hip line as well. The first thing you are going to do is to impute your hip divided by 4 measurements on your hip line like this. Then you need to add ease allowance to this hip line because we have added ease allowance to the bust. So now, to know the amount of ease allowance you are going to be adding to your hip line, the first thing you are going to be doing is you are going to do your hip minus your bust measurement. If hip minus your bust measurement is less than 2 inches, that is from 2, or it is 1.5 or 1.75 or 0.5 inch, the ease allowance you are going to be adding to your hip is 1 inch. That is, after you do your hip divided by 4, add extra 1 inch for ease. But if after you do your hip minus your bust measurement, you now have something like 2.25, 2.5, 3 inches, 5, 10, the ease allowance you are going to be adding to your hip measurement is just half of an inch. What this means is that you are shapy and you are, you have nice curve, okay. But if your own is from 2 inches below, okay, press your calculator, hip minus bust measurement. If your own is from 2 inches below, please add 1 inch ease allowance. After you do your hip divided by 4, add extra 1 inch. But from your own is 2, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, just add half inch. So in my own case, my bust is 36, my hip is 42.5, so gave me something like 12, so it was above 2, so I added half inch for my own ease allowance on the hip. But for the bust line on the back, add half inch. Then connect it with a broken line like this. Just make sure that your broken line is touching your waistline. So the next thing you are going to be doing now is to get our dart line. So I'm going to be marking my dart line from after the zip bulge on the waist. So to do that, you are going to need your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7.5. 7.5 divided by 2 gave me 3.75. I mark it on the waistline. Then I am going to extend this line to the bust line and to the hip line like this. So just make sure that this line, when you create your dart line, it is straight, it is not bent or tilting to one side, okay. Make sure you have your straight line up and down. So now I am like 30% done with the back. Let's move to the front. So now for the front, we need to impute our bust measurements on the bust line as well. So my bust is 36. 36 divided by 4 gave me 9. So I'm just going to mark that on the bust line now, okay. And I'm going to be marking from after the margin line, alright. So now I'll mark my 9 inches like this. Then we need to add ease allowance to the front as well. I did half inch for the back, so for this front I'll be adding 1 inch. please, if you are busty, make sure you add as much as 1.5 to the bust area for the front. Okay, so now let's move to the hip. So the hip too, I'm going to go in by my hip divided by 4, and I'm going to mark it on the hip line. Then we need to add our hip allowance. Based on my calculation, the hip allowance that I'm going to be adding on the hip line is 1/2 inch. Okay, like I told you, hip minus bust, whatever you have. If it is less than 2, please, from 2 below, add 1 inch for your hip ease. But if it is 2.5 above, add 1/2 inch to your ease allowance for the hip. All right, so connect it with a broken line like I have just done. Okay, so the next thing we want to do now is to get our dart line for the front. So, and we are going to be using our bust pan measurement divided by 2. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 7.5. So 7.5 divided by 2 gave me 3.75. So I'm marking that on my nipple line, on my waistline, and on my hip line. Then I'm going to take my straight ruler to connect it straight up. All right, now there's something I want to teach you. Now, instead of me doing, you know how we used to do, divide our shoulder slope by 2 to create our, you know, when we want to do bustier, there's another thing you can do. Instead of you doing your like shoulder slope divided by 2, trying to get the midpoint. So what I'm first of all going to do is, you see this my dart line that I have just created, I am going to extend it up to my shoulder slope. Okay, so what I'm just going to do now is my shoulder and my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, I'm going to mark it on my shoulder slope like this. Then I'm going to take my ruler to connect it. So I'll be using a broken line in this part because I don't really need it. I just need it as a guide to create something. So after, you just make sure that this broken line is touching your shoulder slope like I have just done. Okay, so now what you are now going to do next up now is, from this point where this broken line is touching your shoulder slope, you are going to go in by 3/4 inch. All right, mark 3/4 inch from where your shoulder slope is touching, I mean your nipple to nipple line is touching the shoulder slope. So mark 3/4 inch, not up to 1 inch. Mark it like this. Then take your straight ruler to connect it into your nipple to nipple point measurement on your nipple line. Okay, make sure the line is straight, don't use a broken line this time around. So it is on this line that I'm going to be doing, if I want to maybe overbust tightening and everything. So this thing that I've just taught you, you can use it when you want to create your normal shoulder dart bustier, like the one we did in my last tutorial. I'll put the link in the description box in case you have not seen that tutorial on how we made a bustier blouse. So you can do that as well, instead of you getting the midpoint of your shoulder slope. So now the next thing we are going to do now is to do our side shaping and create our dart, and you already know how we do it on this channel. So what you are going to do now is, on the waistline for the front, you are going to measure what you have here down to the broken line. Then for the back, you are going to measure what you have from after the zip bulge like this down to the broken line like this. Make sure you are measuring what you have on the waistline, please, not on the hip line. So whatever you have, you will need to add it together. So for the front, I have 10.625, and for the back, I have 9.625. Okay, you will need a separate paper for this and your calculator. So in case you're wondering what is 9.625, let me show you on the tape. So this is 8, 9, 10, and this is 9 inches, right? This is 9.5. So this small line after 9.5 is 9.625 on the tape, and 10.625 is 10, 10.5. Then this small line after 10.5 going towards 11 inches is your 10.625. all right, if you are not sure, you can just leave your own as 9.5 and 10.5 just to save yourself the stress of ambiguous numbers. All right, so now add the two together. After I add it, I have 20.25. all right, that is 20.25. so 20.25 on the tape is just 20 inches, and two small lines after 20 inches is 20.25. Maybe I will do a tutorial on how to read your tape measure properly later. If you want it, you can just let me know in the comments. I'll do a tutorial on how to read your tape. So now that we have added the two values together, what we have on the pattern paper is 20.25. but my real waist measurement is 28 inches. Please, this 28 inches is my exact waist measurement. If you want to cinch your waist, please go ahead and reduce your waist measurement at this point. If you want to reduce it maybe to like 26, 27, go ahead and reduce it here. So half of my real waist measurement is 14 inches, that is 28 divided by 2. So what I'm supposed to have on this pattern paper right now is 14 inches, but I have 20 and a quarter. So we need to find the excess that is on the pattern paper. So after I did my subtraction, I noticed that I have 6 and a quarter as excess on the pattern paper for me to have my exact waist measurement on the pattern paper. So this 6 and a quarter is what we are going to use to create our dart and do our side shaping. So the first thing we are going to be doing is to do our side shaping. So to do the side shaping, this 6 and a quarter, we are now going to divide this into 4. All right, just do 6.25 divided by 4 on your calculator. So after I press my calculator, what I have is 1.625, but I'm going to be approximating this to 1.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to be using 1.5 inches just to save myself the stress of reading tiny bit decimal on the tape. So now you will now go for the front on the waistline, from where the broken line is touching your waist, your waistline, just go in by 1.5 inches like this. Like whatever your own measurement is, please mark it. My own is 1.5, so I'm saying 1.5. Okay, so then on this, for the back as well, on the waistline, from where the broken line I measured 1.5 inches in. So now I'm now going to take my French curve. Okay, the first thing I'm going to be doing is connect from the bust into the waist like this with a straight line. I'm starting with the back piece, then I'm going to flip the ruler to the curvy part to connect from the waist into the hip line just to create my hip curve. Okay, like I did for the back, I'm going to shape the side for the front as well. I'm just going to take my French curve like this, connect from the bust into the waist, that is the 1.5 inches mark on the waist like this with a straight line. Then I'm going to flip my my French curve to create the hip curve as well. All right, so now that we are done with our side shaping, we still need to do our darts, and we need to make sure that we have our exact waist measurement on the waistline on the pattern paper. So what you are going to do again is measure after your side shaping, measure what you have on the waistline for the front, record it down. Okay, for this one I think I have 9 inches. So for the back, measure everything you have from after the zip boy down to your side shaping, and I think I have 8 inches here. So we are going to take another paper, add whatever you have. Mine 8 plus 9, press your calculator, and you are going to get, mine I got 17. So your home might be 16, 18 and above, anyone. So now half of my real waist measurement again, 28 divided by 2 is 14. So what I actually need on the pattern paper is 14, not 17. So that means I still have 3 inches excess on this pattern paper. So this 3 inches excess is what I am now going to use to create my darts for the front and for the back. So to do the darts, so what you are going to do is this excess, which is 3 inches, I'm now going to divide it into 5 equal parts. So after I divided it, I have 0.6 inches. So the dart for the front, what you are going to do is whatever excess divided by 6 that you have, multiply it by 3 to do your dart for the front, then multiply it by 2 to do your dart for the back. Okay, so when I multiply for the front, I got 1.8, but I'm going to be using 1.75, and as for the back, I got 1.2, so I'm going to be using 1.25, that is 1.25 for the back. So let me just show you. So 1.75, that is 1.75 for the front, is, I hope you know what 1.75 is. So on the tape, so this is it. I will now divide this into 2 like this. Then I am now going to place it on my dart line, then mark it to create my dart for the front like this. So once again, I'm sorry if you don't understand this very well the way I'm explaining, but I did the detailed tutorial on how to draft these basic bodies. Okay, I'll put the link in the description box. So to connect the dart for the front, from the nipple line I came down by 1.5 inches. okay, and I connected the dart into that. Then to connect it down, I usually connect straight into the hip line like this. Okay, so now let's do the dart for the back. Our dart for the back is 1.2, so I told you I'll be using 1.25. that is one line and two small lines after 1 inch. That is your 1.25, that is 1.25. so I'll fold my tape like this to get the midpoint. So I'm now going to place it on my dart line like this to create my dart allowance. So now to connect this up from the waistline, I'm going to go up by 6 inches like this. Then I'm going to connect from this 6 inches into my dart allowance like this. Okay, so and to connect it down, I'm going to be connecting it straight into my hip line. This is what I like to do. You can decide to go up 2 inches, 1 inch above your hip line, but for me, I like to create straight into the hip. So by the time you measure what you have on this your waistline, now after you do your side shaping and your dart, you will notice that you have exactly whatever your half of your waist measurement is. Okay, and you will notice that after you measure what you have for the front on the waistline, it is slightly bigger than what you have on the back. Even if it is by 1/4 of an inch, it must be bigger than what you have for the back. Okay, but all in all, you will have your overall total of half of your waist measurement. So the next thing we want to do now is to do our underbust tightening. So I don't know if I said it, but my underbust measurement, round underbust measurement is 30 inches. So 30 divided by 4 gave me 7.5. So this 7.5, I'm going to mark it on my underbust line, excluding the dart legs, the darts. Okay, measure it excluding the darts. All right, 7.5, and this is it for me. So now I have excess here as well that I need to take out. So this excess, I'm going to measure it. Whatever I have is what I'm going to use to create my underbust tightening. Okay, so I have 1.5 here. So this 1.5, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark 1/2 inch towards the center front, and I'm going to be marking 1 inch towards the side front, and I'm going to be marking it from the dart legs. Okay, not from the dart line, that middle line, no, you are going to be marking from the dart leg. So I mark 1/2 inch towards the center front like this and connect it into my nipple to nipple divided by 2 points on the nipple line. Then this one, I'm going to mark 1 inch like this. So now I'm not going to be connecting this into the nipple to nipple point exactly, so I'm just going to be going away by like one line, like one little line, not up to 1/4 of an inch away from my nipple to nipple point. This is what I like to do. It's totally optional. If you want to do it, fine. If you don't want to, please go ahead and do what you like. So now that I have created my underbust curve, so I need to connect this into the waist like this. This is how I like to do mine. You can decide to take it straight to the hip, then you replace the excess that you are going to have on the side, but I don't like to tamper with my side shaping, so I would rather connect it into my waistline like I have just done. So now our underbust tightening is fine. So the next thing we want to do now is to take care of the difference between our front waist measurement and back waist measurement. So my front waist is 18 and my back waist measurement is 16. So that means I have 2 inches difference. So I need to take care of it by using it to create darts, bust dart. So what you are going to do is your nipple line on the side, go down by the difference that you have. Mine is 2 inches, so I mark 2 inches from my nipple line downward like this. Then I'm going to connect it straight into my bust pan measurement. So that means I need to, this part of the pattern paper is no longer useful. That is why I'm crossing it out. So now we need to close our bust dart. So to close that, we either need to slash from the down, from the hip, or slash from the shoulder. But either way, I need to separate this paper into two like this first, so that it will be easy for me to fold the paper when I want to fold my bust dart. So after I separate the pattern paper, I will need to slash open this line that we draw on the dart, on the shoulder like this. Please notice that it is not the broken line. No, you can clean up the broken line. It is the one you draw with a straight line go that you will need. So now after I slash it open like this, please just slash it down to the nipple point. You don't need to cut it through. Okay, so just fold your pattern paper like your bust dart like this, and notice that I folded from the down, okay, please watch the video so that you will see what I am doing. So I'm just going to take my tape now and tape it temporarily. Okay, I'm taping it down. I'm closing the bust dart temporarily. Now you will notice that this side seam here, this side line, is no longer equal. So just take your ruler to connect it, like to blend in the line. All right, after you close your bust dart, you'll notice that the side line is no longer straight. So just take your French cup or straight ruler to blend it. So now guys, this is the part I want you guys to listen to me carefully. So I want to show you guys the proper way of doing your shoulder tightening. Now you need to understand that shoulder tightening has a lot to do with the kind of neckline you want to do. You don't just do it. You need to first of all determine what kind of neckline do I want to do for this dress or blouse that I'm making. So before you now know how many percentage of shoulder tightening you will do, 20 inches, 30 inches, 70 inches, 80 inches, 40 inches, 50%, 20%, you understand? But for me, so the kind of neckline you want to do has everything to do with the amount of shoulder tightening you are going to do. So now the neckline that I want to do is both neckline, and it means that I will need to cut off a lot of my shoulder. Like both neckline, what you will have on your shoulder left is something very little. Okay, like you all know both neckline. So now what you are going to do is we need to do 40%. If you want to do both neckline, the amount you will do is 40% shoulder tightening. And to do shoulder tightening, after you close your bust like this and your shoulder that is open like this, you will now measure what you have. This space that you have here, you will measure what you have like this. Okay, measure it and record it. What I have is 3 1/4, but I'm going to be using 3 inches. This is because my original back half length is 16.5, but I used 15, which increased the difference that I have on my front waist length and back waist length. All right, so which will automatically increase your shoulder dart. So I'll be using 3 inches instead of 3 1/4 that I measured. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So whatever you measure now, to do 40%, whatever you now measure, you now multiply it by 40, then divide it by 100 again, or multiply it by 4, then divide it by 10. So my own, I said I want to use 3 inches, Abby. 3 times 4 gave me 12. 12 divided by 10 gave me 1.2. Or you do 3 times 40 divided by 100 again. So whatever your own measurement that you have, after you that you have on this dart that is going on, that is open on the table, measure what you have, multiply it by 4, then divide it by 10, or multiply it by 40 divided by 100. That is 40% shoulder tightening. So now this 1.2 that I have, I will now divide it in such a way that ½ inch will go towards the center front and 3/4 inch will go towards the side front. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I got 1.2, which is also 1.25. That is 1 1/4 on the tape. So I mark ½ inch from the slashed paper towards the center front and 3/4 towards the side front. Okay, so now I have used it to create another dart on my shoulder slope. So now we need to close this new shoulder that we have created. So now I will need to first of all open up my bust dart so that I'll be able to close this new shoulder dart permanently. Okay, so now to close this new shoulder dart permanently, I will need to either slash from the bust or slash from the down, but I'll prefer to slash from the hip like I am doing. Please, if you don't understand what I'm saying, just watch the video and listen to what I am saying. It is not difficult. You are going to get it. Okay, now we need to close this new dart, that is our shoulder tightening. And once you close your shoulder tightening, please, you are not going to open it up again, and you are not going to replace it anywhere. The reason for your shoulder tightening is because you want to eliminate any gaping that you can have around the chest area. So if you are replacing it back, it's like whatever you take, you are putting it back. It is not necessary. Like, it does not, like, why are you taking it out if you are going to replace it? It's just like me doing underbust tightening and replacing it back. I hope you understand what I'm saying. so you do not need to take it, like replace it again. Once I have folded my shoulder tightening dart like this, I will now take my tape to close it permanently. I won't need to open it up again. It is gone like that. So after I close up the shoulder dart, like my shoulder tightening dart, you'll see that the shoulder slope is no longer straight. You will then take your straight ruler to connect it with a straight line to redraw your shoulder slope. Please, you will notice that I didn't fast forward the video so much. This is because I want you to understand what I am doing. Okay, so after I close my shoulder tightening dart, I can now close up my bust dart permanently as well. I don't need it anymore. I hope you understand. So now we have done our bust dart, we have done our shoulder tightening. We can now go ahead to create our Princess Dart. Okay, if I have not done my shoulder tightening, I cannot create my Princess Dart. Okay, so now to create our Princess Dart, I will just measure what I have on the armhole, then get the midpoint. But I don't like doing this because each time I do it, the cup is always too low, like the princess seam is always too low. So what I'm going to do is, from this shoulder point here, I'm going to go down by 3.5 inches. Okay, now I came down by 3.5 inches. Then I'm going to take my French curve to blend it into my, I hope you know the point I'm trying to blend it into. You know that when I wanted to do my underbust tightening for this part, I went out by a little bit away from my nipple to nipple point. Okay, because I don't like chopping it. So now I am now going to take my French curve to connect it. But please, when you are drawing this curve, make sure that you don't let the curve enter your nipple to nipple point divided by 2. That is your bust pan measurement that you have on your nipple line. Okay, whatever you do, please don't chop your nipple to nipple point. You can go far away from this, from your nipple to nipple, by up to half of an inch, depending on how the shape of your body, like the size of your bust. Okay, like you can go, but you must make sure that you do not affect your bust pan measurement. So what I'm just doing now is that I first of all put my French curve, use a broken line until I get a perfect curve. And you will notice that I did not just draw the upper part of the curve, I am still redrawing the down part. Okay, please, you need to know how to draw your bust curve. Okay, please, if you have to invest in this French curve, please invest in it. I trust my French curve more than I trust my freehand to draw this kind of curve. Okay, if you know that you are not good with your freehand, or you used to have pointy like around the bust area when you are done sewing, it could be that your cup, you didn't draw it well from the pattern. All right, so please, I want you to pay attention to the way I am placing my French curve. Okay, please pay attention to that when you are doing your own. All these things, they really, like, it has to be right on your pattern for it to be right when you are done sewing it. Okay, so now I'm done creating my cup for this side. We need to create our cup for the back as well. So I just want to redraw this down part of the cup for this side too. Okay, so you notice I'm taking my time. I didn't fast forward the video, and I just want you to see how long it's taking me to draw my own curve, so that you don't rush to do your own. So now after I draw it down, I'm supposed to blend in this curve for the side fronts into the princess seam. I'm still going to do it later on, but for now let's do our neckline. So for the neckline, from the shoulder point, I came up by 1.25. You can do as low as 1 inch. Okay, for both neckline. So I came, then for the neck depth, I did 4.5. You know the standard neck depth is 3 inches for me, but I tried to add 1.5 to it to make it 4.5 neck depth, because I feel like if I do 4 inches it will be choking me. That's why I did 4.5. So I'm just going to take my French cuff now to blend it. But after I used my French cuff, I feel like it was looking too pointy around the center front here. So what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to go in with my free hand to draw the neckline properly. So this one I can use my free hand. I can, you know, if my French cuff is not giving me the shape that I want, I can do my, but you see that cup part, the cup part of the bustier, I don't joke with my French cuff because I don't like anything like it is pointy on the bust area. So now I'm just going in with my French curve just to make sure that I have the perfect neckline that is not looking pointy or sharp anyway. So after I draw the neckline, so I just decided to use my pencil to cross out the part that is no longer part of my pattern paper, so that I don't get confused when I am drawing it. Please, back to the shoulder tightening. If you know that you are not going to do a both neckline, then 40% shoulder tightening might be too much or too small depending on the neckline that you want to do. All right, so now what I'm doing now is, like I told you, I forgot to blend in this my princess seam into the center front part, so I'm just trying to use my French cuff to blend it again. Please notice the way I am blending it, and this cuff that I want to draw, it will just stop on the bust pan measurement point. Okay, now after you have drawn your cuff like this, okay, you have drawn it, you will need to measure what you have from the nipple point down to the armhole point. Okay, measure what you have here and make sure you have the same thing. Notice that I'm cleaning off any extra line there. Now I am not going to go out by 1 inch or go in by ½ inch anyway. This is exactly what I am going to do, but I'm just going to make sure that they are equal now. And if you do it right, these 2 points from the side front and the center front, when you measure it from your nipple point upward, it is going to be equal. I have 6 3/4 on both sides, so if you do yours right too, it has to be equal. So I measured that part, it is fine. So I'm going to measure this my dart from the waist, from under bust down to the waist like this line. I measured it, it was equal as well. Then this from the under bust down to the nipple point, I'm going to measure what I have on both sides as well. So usually this one, the one on the side front, is usually like one line or like at most a quarter bigger than the other. This is totally normal if you experience yours, and this is because when you are sewing it, you'll be able to fold it in a bit. This is part of the things that let the cup come out well. It is normal in case you measure your own and you have like quarter inch or one line higher. There's no way you can even correct it anyway. So what I'm just doing now is I'm done. I just cut out from the waistline. Okay, now I told you saw like the peplum, so we have to attach the peplum to the waist. So I just cut through the waist like this, then I'm cutting my side front. Okay, and please label your pattern so you don't mix it up, your side front and center front. No, now I won't be cutting this neckline yet because I need to use it to cut the back. Okay, so I don't forget how much I have left on my shoulder. Okay, so now let's work on our back piece. So for the back piece, we are not doing so much. We are just going to draw our back neckline. Okay, so to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is to know how much I did on the shoulder for the front. So for the shoulder for the front, I think I did 1 1/4. I'm just measuring it to confirm. So now I'll now measure the same thing from the SP, that is from your shoulder point upward on the shoulder strap like this, 1 1/4 for the back as well. You need to make sure that what you have for the front is the same thing that you have for the back, so that you don't have issue when you're sewing. So for the neck depth, I'm going to be sticking with my bust line, which is 9 inches. You can go below your bust line if you want, but I don't want something too deep. All right, so I'm sticking with my bust line, which is 9 inches. I'm now going to take my French curve to draw it. I'm using a broken line first to see if it is something that I would like to work with, but I think I like what I see, so I decided to smoothen out the curve. All right, so now we need to contour this neckline. The issue is, anytime you do something that is this deep, even if it is at the front, you need it. This kind of neckline that is deep, they usually gape a lot. That is when you now see that when your clients or you are wearing the blouse, the shoulder will now be dropping. Like this kind of neckline, the shoulder will be dropping, is because it is gaping. So the first step you are going to be doing to eliminate that gaping is this my dart line, I will extend it upward. Then I'm going to be contouring it with a total of 1/2 inch, that is 1/4 inch on both sides of the dart line. Okay, 1/4 inch on both sides of the dart line, and I'm going to be connecting it straight into my waist with a straight line like this. Okay, so I did 1/4 inch on both sides, then I connected it straight into my hip. The thing is, if my shoulder, if I did a deeper neckline, I would have done up to like more, up to like half inch on both sides, but because it is not so deep, that is why I'm doing 1/4 inch. All right, so now you know that I usually tell you, anytime you alter your dart legs, you must always make sure that you have the same thing. So now I'm just trying to measure what I have on the dart legs and ensure that they are equal, so that I don't have issue when I am sewing. So another way you can do this is just fold your dart on top of each other. I'm going to show you now. Fold your dart on top of each other, then withdraw your neckline instead of you measuring it out. And you can just fold your dart on top of each other like this, then take your French curve to withdraw it. All right, so after withdrawing it, you then withdraw your dart, or if you have any shortage anywhere. But this way, I think I like this way because it tends to be perfect. All right, so I'm just taking my razor to clean off the original neckline that I drew. So after opening it up, this is what I have. Okay, this is what I have. I'm just taking my pencil to cross out the part of the pattern paper that we no longer need. All right, so what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to take my scissors to cut out from the waist. You know, it's a peplum. I don't need that fitted waist to hip part. I just need the upper part that is fitted. Okay, so my next tutorial, I don't know guys, if you want to see the peplum tutorial first, or you want to see the sewing tutorial for this blouse first. So whichever one that you would want, let me know. You would want to see first, be it either the peplum tutorial or the sewing tutorial for the bustier, let me know. All right, so now I'm just cutting out the pattern piece like this. As you can see, I'm cutting it out exactly. And please label your pattern when you are done cutting, because you don't mix it up, especially this back part. You can mix it up easily. Okay, so make sure you label it, the side back, the center back, the zip part, and everything. So to further eliminate gaping on our neckline, so what we need to do now is, on this shoulder slope part on your neckline, you need to go down by like 1/2 inch. I didn't do up to 1/2 inch, but I'm telling you to do 1/2 inch for your own. Okay, go down by 1/2 inch and connect it into your SP, like shoulder point, with a straight line. That is that armhole part. Yes, connect it with a straight line, but you went down on the neckline. Okay, so if you don't understand what I'm doing here, I'm going to repeat the same thing on the front part as well. So just watch what I'm doing and do the same thing. So after you connect it like this, just cut it off. All right, so like I did for the back, I'm going to repeat the same thing for the front. On your neckline, like the cuff, the both neckline we draw from your shoulder slope, go down by 1/2 inch like this, then connect it into your shoulder on the armhole part like this with a straight line. Then I'm going to cross it out because I'm going to cut it out later on. All right, so what I'm just going to do now is I'm just going to withdraw this my neckline. I don't know why I feel so insecure about that neckline. I just want it to be perfect, so I was just trying to withdraw the neckline here, and that is it. So what we just did on this shoulder slope part is going to help us eliminate anything like the shoulder of your blouse falling off when you are wearing it. I know you understand what I'm saying. So we have done everything possible to make sure that we are comfortable and our blouse is not falling off our shoulder. So that is going to be it for today's tutorial, guys. So, and I hope you learned something new and you are already feeling confident about drafting your own Princess Darr bustier. So remember that I told you this is just the part 1, and if you would like to see maybe how I made my peplum first, or how I sew down this bustier, let me know. Then that tutorial will be coming up next. So let me know in the comment section whichever one you want to see first. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, drop a comment for me, and share with your fellow fashion lovers. And if you try this pattern please, you can, or you make your own, you can just tag me on Instagram at SoFlyStyles. I would like to see your work. So until next time guys, stay fly, stay stylish. Bye bye.